Verizon, your partner behind the scenes. Verizon Enterprise Solutions. Visit VerizonEnterprise.com. And welcome to Steam, the ultimate entertainment platform. Play, connect, create, and more. Install Steam today and start gaming right over your internet connection on your PC. Call of Duty Intimate Warfare. Intimate Warfare will take players on an unforgettable journey as they engage in heroic battles from Earth to beyond our atmospheres against a relentless army faction that threatens our very way of life. Only from Call of Duty. Available November 4. Our video's in progress. Hello. Activision.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good morning, Mr.
Good to see you
Ants.
all. Sense quiet anticipation. I won't delay it. Let's go straight to questions. Josh, you want to go first?
Let's get to questions. Hello, everybody. Press full.
Yesterday about anticipation of
Our
this
left
readout
ears
that
in repair.
we didn't know where it was going to come from. That I wanted to ask you more about the president's conversation with Prime Minister Erdogan.
Okay.
I was struck by the line
Left ears in
readout
repair.
that said that the two leaders affirmed their strong support for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Iraq, given that
Today
the
shows
Prime
like Call of
Minister,
Duty Infinite Warfare. Available
seems
November
really
4th.
care a ton
Activision.
about the sovereignty of Iraq as it relates to the troops that they have there. And I was wondering if we would be right to read between the lines
Only
a little bit of that in
$59.99.
terms of maybe they came to some type of an agreement about what Turkey's role should be, given the fact that the operation.
Well, I'm very excited to do today's show.
Well underway.
I'm wearing savvy from head
Well,
to
Josh,
toe.
I think it's
I
fair
did
for you
everything
to
you wanted me to
describe
do. You
that
wanted
situation as
a
an
ton
ongoing
of best in
discussion.
stores, audio
And
experience,
the
a
president-
level song,
President
motivational
Obama
speaker,
underscored to
richest man in America,
President
universe, rock
Erdogan
galaxy.
the
Save me
need
some of that
for
peach cobbler.
all of our
Paint the
counter-ISIL
short way. Use
coalition
your phone. I saved
operations
all your files.
to
Patty,
ensure
highest
that
paid
they're
singer in the
effectively
world.
integrated with
Tweet
the operations
via
of other
at
members of the coalition,
tweet us via early or late at
and to ensure that they are
FRESH
consistent
underscore.
with the request that's been made by the central government of Iraq
Via
and the operation, the counter-ISIL coalition that is operating
Via.
in Iraq in support of Iraqi security
Tweet
forces
us
who are
at
taking the fight on the ground
FRESH.
to ISIL in their own country.
5
Those efforts are being undertaken
Via
at the invitation of the Iraqi
underscore
central government.
JORDANZ.
And it's important
I wish
to
I
remember
could
that
do the
this is
ceremony
actually,
every 20 minutes of the hour.
in some
Social
ways, the
media.
cornerstone of our strategy. If you
Remember
rewind back to more
311.
than 2 years ago, when
All this video screening process of
ISIL
our new
had
president
demonstrated the
elect.
clear threat that
Side.
they posed to the Iraqi people,
Right.
President
eBay
Obama
auction.
was
eBay
reluctant to
auction.
make a significant commitment
eBay
of
auction.
U.S. military
The House.
resources until there was an Iraqi central government in place
We
that
auctioned the house.
reflected the will
Remember
of the
311
Iraqi
all
people
liquids
and
us alignment of
demonstrated a
3
clear
ounce size
commitment to
container.
pursuing an inclusive governing agenda.
American,
So this has been
United. Fly with
the
us.
foundation of
Fly
our
with
approach
Virgin
from the very
America.
beginning.
Our frequent flyer
And
card number starts with pound
when
422.
it comes to the
Happy birthday.
role that is played by particular countries who are
18
part of the
USC
counter-ISIL coalition
2511. Intercepting wire, oral, and
as
electronic
the
communication.
situations change on the ground, as the threat that is posed by
Today's
ISIL
show is sponsored by
evolves,
MerriweatherA.Law in
it
America's
often
first
means
thing in
that
the
we
show.
are asking those partner countries to do more
We're in.
or to do something
We're making the
different.
law sound
And,
wonderful.
so I think that's why I would describe
Add a T. The way it should
the
have been,
role
besides everything.
of
X.
Turkey in the counter-ISIL coalition to be part of an ongoing discussion. Uh, I would be remiss if I didn't
I would
also
be
note
remiss.
that there are already any
Already.
number of significant contributions that Turkey is already
Significant
making,
contributions,
including allowing our coalition,
allowing the
particularly the United
coalition,
States, to use the basic
United States to
interlink
use the base.
and the steps that Turkey
Our
has taken on the ground
president-elect.
to secure their border with Syria that has essentially shut off ISIL and their capital Raqqa from
Shut up, ISIL.
easy access to the outside world.
Easy access to the outside world.
And I wanted to correct myself. I meant President Erdogan, not Prime Minister, although he's had a couple different roles. I mean, is it a problem though that the operation is now
Steam.com. You have
underway
instant
and
access
it's an
to
ongoing
games,
discussion
entertainment
with our
everywhere.
NATO ally about
Wherever you
its
are, a
role
PC,
in,
Mac,
an
Linux,
operation
mobile
to
device,
be
or
led
even
by
your
the
television,
Iraqis.
you can enjoy the benefits of Steam. Take the fun with you.
With Turkey about what their role should be? I mean, can that
Only
be an
from
ongoing discussion as the
SteamPower.com.
operation's already happening?
But I think it can be an ongoing
It's a
discussion because
video
there really is
illusion,
going to be a role for international forces
not reality.
who are supporting Iraqi security forces on the ground in the operation against Mosul. So
Check your
I
receipts.
don't know if
He
we'll
loves
get
it.
to a place where there
Yeah, we
is a
have
role that
receipts
materializes
for
for
2
Turkish troops
years.
to support Iraqi security forces.
We have 2 years of receipts. I
But
mean, what?
there are already, as I
what can we
detailed,
say?
as I alluded to earlier, there are a couple of ways
This is
in
an
which
IMS. He has 2 years
Turkey is
of
playing a
receipts.
substantially important role
To
to supporting the
substantiate
overall
that.
counter-ISIL
Counter
mission.
ISIL.
And look, if there are additional requests
And look, he loves video
that
games.
the Iraqi central government
There's no
and
doubt
the
about
counter-ISIL
that.
coalition makes
No
of the Turkish
doubt.
government, then
It's
we'll
a video
certainly,
illusion, not reality.
include them in the ongoing dialogue.
Conclude.
At this point,
At this
what
2-year
the
point,
Iraqi government has
we have to
indicated is that
assume he
they
likes being here.
Are prepared for Iraqi
Are
security forces to
prepared
take the lead.
to take the lead.
And we have seen them make
We have
steady
seen
and important progress
important progress.
against the goal of dislodging
goal.
ISIL from Mosul.
For Mosul,
But we expect this will be a
we
long
expect
and difficult challenge.
difficult challenge.
But it is one that our counter-ISIL
Finish
coalition
us once
is
by in
committed to
theaters.
supporting the Iraqis as they
Visit in theaters.
With that operation underway,
It's a play.
Defense Secretary Carter
Oh,
said
it's a
yesterday that he expects the
play.
operation to
Dante.
take Raqqa back to
Who's
start
Dante?
within a matter of weeks. And there's been a fair amount of
Ex the No House. Ex the White House.
um,
Who's Dante?
most notably actually from Donald Trump of
Freedom,
previewing,
freedom,
timing for a military attack.
We have 2 years of receipts.
Publicly, given the potential for ISIL to, use that information
Give a right
to,
foot shot.
you know,
22
prepare
years of
themselves
receipts.
to defend against such an attack. And I was wondering if the White House shares any concerns about
It's our favorite
being so
game.
open about the timing for that kind of an operation.
well.
Well,
Let me start by saying that the
Let me
president is
start by
confident that he's
yes,
getting
2 years of
good
receipts.
advice from our senior leaders in the military, including the
including
Secretary of Defense, about
Secretary
the
of
most
Defense,
effective way to
to
carry out our strategy to
carry out our
create and
strategy
destroy ISIL.
to destroy
And,
ISIL.
The president is confident that the advice
The
he's
president is
received from those
confident.
military advisors
Military advice
is better advice than
better advice.
anything that the Republican nominee might have to say 2 weeks
Might
before
have to
election.
say.
And just wanted to ask about this call that the president's doing this afternoon on the Affordable Care Act.
Hello, media. How are you?
Would you, are you able to acknowledge that the fact that he's doing this call and trying to speak to people who are affected and stakeholders,
Today's show is
You know,
sponsored by
it's a-
Tom Clancy's
it's a
Splinter
reflection,
Cell,
that,
Blacklist.
despite some of what you
Only
said
at
about the
SteamPower.com.
increases to premiums not being, across the board, that there is a lot of
The
apprehension
United
right now
States
and
has a
lot
military
people
presence
are
in
feeling
2/3 of the
like,
countries
maybe
around the
this isn't
world,
cutting costs
and some-
the way that it,
have
was,
had enough. A group of
billed
terrorists
as
calling
being able to
themselves
do,
the
and that
engineers
the
initiate a
president needs to sort
terror
of level the
ultimatum
people
called
about,
the Blacklist,
where
a deadly
this central law
countdown of
now stands
escalating
since he's
attacks
been in
on
office.
U.S. interests.
Well, Josh,
Only
the
on Tom
president's done
Clancy's
calls like
Splinter
this
Cell,
each of the last
Blacklist,
2 years.
available on
So
SteamPower.com.
there's nothing about
It's a
recent
visual illusion,
headlines
not
that
reality.
has affected his decision
Has
to host the
affected his
call.
decision.
This is,
This
in many
is
ways, our standard operating
This is
procedure.
theme.
And the goal of a call
The
like
goal
this
of
is
thinking
to make
is
clear
a
to
visual
people across the
illusion of his
country who are
favorite
going to play an
game. It's
influential
not
role in
reality.
educating the American public
Educating the American public
about the law,
about the strategy
that this
games.
is a high priority of the President of the United States.
This is a high
We want
priority.
to make sure that people understand the
Make sure
facts
people understand
about the opportunities that are
about the
available to them.
opportunity.
And if people are discouraged
Suggestion aborted
about what opportunities are
about
available
what
to them,
opportunities are available.
that might be understandable.
That
given
might
the
be
headlines,
understandable,
but it's not
but
understandable
it's not a video
given the
game.
opportunities that are available to the vast majority of Americans.
It's a visual illusion
Who signed up?
strategy game.
Because more than 7 in 10 Americans who sign up to the marketplace will be able to purchase
Will
a
be
plan
able
for $75 a month or
For
less.
$75 a
After you
month.
factor in tax credits that
Josh, I'm
exist
referring to
because
Tom
of the
Clancy's
Affordable
Splinter
Care Act.
Cell, 75% off
So
at
that's why the president
Steam.com
continues to be optimistic about the law.
for
and its
$7.49.
impact on
Visit
middle-class families
Steam,
across the country.
Power.com,
And it's why the president continues
Tom
to be
Clancy's Blacklist, 75% off.
energetic in making the
We have
case
2 years of
that this is
receipts.
a top
We
priority.
love video games.
And we want to encourage people. It doesn't cost anything to shop,
It doesn't cost anything to play a
window
video
shop.
game.
And people can do
You
that
can
now
have a
by
free
going
trial
to
at
healthcare.gov
Steam.com.
and taking a look at the options
Try
that are
it for
available
free
to
on
them in
us.
their community. That doesn't cost anything. But
It's a
what most
simulation.
people will find, particularly people who signed up last year, many people will find that there actually is a comparable plan that they can sign on
that
to
we can sign on to.
that
That
could actually
could
save
actually
them money, that would cost less.
costs less.
So we're encouraging people to
We're encouraging
shop
people
around,
to shop around,
whether they have healthcare or
whether
not.
they have healthcare,
And that opportunity
and
is
that
available
opportunity
at
is available
healthcare.gov today.
today.
And finally,
finally,
we know that the system
we know
overall benefits.
benefits
Everybody's costs
everybody's
go down
costs.
when more people sign up.
More people sign up.
So that's why we're making such an
So that's why
aggressive
we're
effort
here.
to include people all across the
It's
country,
a
particularly young
strategy,
people, to encourage them to
opportunity.
avail themselves of this opportunity. All of this is particularly important when you consider that
A strategy council.
the penalty that is imposed for people who don't sign up for healthcare is quite significant.
It's quite
This year
significant.
it's about $700. About $700. And I think our argument is pretty simple, which is, why would you pay $700
Why would you
to
pay?
Uncle Sam when you don't need to?
You don't
You
need
can
to.
avoid that having to make that $700 payment if you go and sign up for healthcare, which of course also affords you a variety of benefits that protect you and your family in the event of illness.
These are visual
Now that,
illusions,
just lastly,
entertainment.
the plans that you pointed to this year and others that cost $75 or so, the affordable amount for people, while they satisfy the individual mandate, as you know, they come
Visual
generally
strategy.
speaking with very high co-pays, limited coverage for non-catastrophic types of measures. Would the president, if he were advising a family member or a friend who
Hello,
was,
Mitya. How are
maybe,
you?
considering their coverage, would he recommend one of those plans to them?
Well, there are standards that are, the answer, direct answer to your question is yes. There are standards that are included in the marketplace. In order
Today's
for
show
a
is
plan
sponsored
to be
by
available for
Verizon. Take
purchase
the
on
work out of your
marketplace, it
workload.
has to
Bring
meet a
innovative
whole set
products and
of
services to
minimum
market
standards.
faster with
That's-
reliable
That's the argument
application
that we make about
environments.
quality, affordable
High-performing,
health insurance being
customizing, and
available
securing
on the
web
marketplace
applications architecture
prior
that
to the
goes where your
creation of the
business
Affordable
takes
Care Act.
you.
When
Only with
individuals were
Verizon
on the individual
Enterprise.com.
market shopping for health insurance, meaning they weren't able to get their health insurance through their
Verizon's
employer or through Medicaid
documentation
or through Medicare.
with
They were
Medicare.
often subjected to the kinds of plans that cost money
That
but
cost
provided very little, if any,
Very little,
benefit
if
or
any.
protection for the people who are signing up.
Signing
Those
up.
kinds of plans are a thing of the past now
The past now.
because
Because
can now
today there's
go
a
on
plague that was
the
created.
marketplaces and
Who made
know that the
this?
plans that they're considering for purchase
Yeah, there's
are
a
plans that
plague.
do, at a minimum,
Stevie
provide
Stewie
a certain
Enhancer.
level of protection.
Ex Stevie
so,
Stewie Siegel who created this plague.
It's hard to engage your question
hard
in
to
a lot of
engage
detail
this
because
question.
there are
Oh my God,
an
what
average
just
of 30
happened?
different plans that are available in markets all across the
What
country.
just happened?
So if there are some plans that aren't
There we
tailored
go. Good
in the
Lord,
right
what was
way
that?
to meet the needs of
Meet the
one particular
needs.
family based on the
Based
unique
on
circumstances that they're facing. The good
Verizon
news is that there are a
support.
variety of other
Great
plans
news.
for them to consider, all of
Phonics
which
Monkey. We offer the Wi-Fi
can be
texting
made
as well.
more affordable
Please click the following link
by
to
tax
review.
credits
Click this Verizon
based on
website.
the income level of the
VM,
family that's
that's
signing up. So that's the argument that we have to make when
That's
you
the
consider what was
argument we
available
made.
before the Affordable Care Act. Yes, the
Well,
individual
who is
market was
Foxy
littered
Monkey?
with expensive
Who's
plans,
Richard
and
K?
in many cases,
He's
didn't
a pretty
provide
guy,
the
okay?
benefits. That's a
From
thing of the
Souptown,
past now because the
Wisconsin.
marketplace requires insurers
Junkiecomputing.com.
to be transparent about both the costs and the benefits associated with their plans. It requires the insurance companies to compete with one another,
Compete with another.
and there are tax
And a
credits that are
plague
available now that make that
that
healthcare
make
more
that healthcare
affordable
an
for
inferno.
many middle class families.
Many middle class families.
Okay, thank you, Aisha.
Thank you.
And our left leg and left
President
ears.
Putin today once again batted away
Our left ears on
accusations that
us.
the Russian
Who
government
created
or
the
that
left
Russia
ear?
was anyway involved in these cyber attacks, or that Russia was
I'm missing my
trying
son
to
back there. Where is he?
influence the U.S.
They've got
presidential
it. They know
election.
it is.
He said that basically
In the budget.
U.S.
Hello.
politicians are trying to whip up hysteria, trying to increase U.S. government spending by making Russia into the culprit. I was just wondering if you had any response to some of these comments.
Well, did you expect that he would admit it?
Today's show's sponsored by Budget Rent-A-Car
I'm just asking.
and sandwich racks.
Look,
Book
we're
directly
trying to
and
illustrate here
prepaid
that
for our
this comment
lowest
is particularly
rates.
surprising.
Only at
But
budget.com.
the analysis that's been put forward by the intelligence community and the Department of Homeland Security is pretty direct in terms of what conclusions they
And
have reached based on their analysis
mattresses.com.
of the
Get it.
situation. And There's
I
nothing
love
that President Putin had to say
mattresses.com.
today that I find particularly
So
surprising
fluffy.
or that in any way
Fluffy places
undermines
to sleep.
the
I love
president's
fluffy
confidence
places
in the
to sleep.
analysis that's been released by the
You've
Department
got
of Homeland Security and
mattresses.com.
intelligence community.
And on that, I'm realizing that some of the response to these cyber attacks may not be able to be public. But I mean, can you say anything at all about where the administration is right now as far as deciding what a response may be, if there are going to be any public responses?
I don't have any updates
I
on
don't
those
have any
ongoing
updates.
discussions. Obviously,
Discussions.
we've indicated that the president's expectation is that the any sort of response that's deployed is one that should
Deployed.
be proportional.
Proportion.
And because of some steps the
Because
president
of
has
some
taken, there are a
steps.
variety of responses that are available
These
to
are
the president, not just within
virtual
the cyber realm,
strategy,
but in other areas too.
not reality.
I don't
Sponsored
have
by
any progress to report at this
Steam.com.
point about
Try it for free today at steampowered.com.
about a potential response.
And I know that this is becoming a daily question, but Philippine President Duterte once again said today that there would be no more war games with the U.S. He said, maybe they will do some naval exercises with Japan, but there would be no more war games with the U.S.
I love a
do you
song.
have any
Close the
response
doors.
to that? Has
Seatbelts.
there been any formal
The music will
communication
sink
from
into the
Philippines
sound
about this?
system.
Yeah, I don't
The
have a response
temperature's
to
on
this
67
primarily
degrees.
because
We're in a 2017
I've
luxury for
offered up
me.
responses to
Thank
similar
you.
questions that he's posed. What I can confirm that we still have not received any sort of formal
And it's
communication.
his prerogative.
from
We're in
the
a
Philippines
2017.
seeking
You
to
can ride your
alter
windows
the
up. You can
nature
ride
of our
your windows
relationship
your
or
windows
our
down.
alliance.
You can ride with us
And
to get the finer
but
things in
other
life.
than that, we'll
My
just,
co-host tonight was Currency.
we'll leave it
Hope
there,
Neil Toss Perjury,
knowing that the United
Chipotle.
States
Be
continues to be
Siri.
committed
PHOJ
to our alliance with the
Ben.
Philippines
I'll
that's been
tell
on the
you.
books for
Extra
7
back
decades. Okay, Justin.
I wanted to follow a little bit on
Today's show is Pink
Josh's
Shorts.
questions about
Adobe Illustrator
the
Free.
Erdogan call
The resume
yesterday.
myself. Someone else.
The Turkish president provided
We left
a
on
bit
him
more
on
colorful
Kenmore,
readout than you
making
guys
a
did,
left
in
onto
his speech this
Delaware.
morning, and said that
With
he
a
told
latte.
President Obama that Turkey plans to
Today's show is
liberate
MerriweatherA.Law,
Raqqa
LiaYAHOO,
I'm
Sound
wondering
Trip,
if that's
Sound
accurate.
Zoning, LKBRUAX, voted by Aliens 20,
If the U.S. is supportive of that plan, or if
Century of Fox,
Iran's
Be MerriweatherA.O2, Be
contrary
Siri,
to
Be Alley, CDMA,
the
Code
collaborative
Division,
effort the
Multiple
US is trying
Access,
to,
Inferno,
I guess,
and GSM,
provide the
Inferno.
Iran.
Supervisors ethnicities must separate.
Well, I'll
Email
let
Emma
President
BI,
Erdogan and his
HSBC,
team
SC
speak
with
to
iPhone,
his comments
1048,
during the
refund,
call.
programming differences.
I don't have a lot of detail
Sounds
to provide
like the
beyond
only way
the
to
written
go.
readout that
Don't
we have
answer that
provided,
phone.
but the president reiterated
Ring, ring,
in the
ring.
context of that conversation something that he and President
Don't
Erdogan
answer
had
it, it's
previously
me.
discussed, which is the
Ring, ring,
need
ring,
for
ring.
all operations
Don't
that
answer
are
it, it's me.
undertaken as
Hold
a
on,
part
it's me.
of the counter-ISIL coalition
Ring,
must be
ring,
coordinated and integrated with the other
ring.
members of the coalition.
Don't answer
And
it,
given
it's me,
the
Naya.
confined nature of the battle space in this in Syria,
Don't
it's
answer it, it's
important
me, it's
that
Naya.
those actions are
Ring,
well coordinated to
ring.
prevent any sort of
answer
unintended
it,
consequence or unintended escalation among competing
We got
interests
it,
in that
you
region
too.
of the world. So we're mindful
We're
of
just
how
having
complicated
fun
this
with our phone.
space is, but we've been pleased
got it, you two.
with the
Have
kind
a
of cooperation and
15-minute
coordination
break.
that the Turks have
We're talking
offered
to the White House right now.
over the last year.
Ring,
The
ring.
Turks have
Hey,
offered access to
okay.
the Interlik Air Base that does make our counter-ISIL
Counter-ISIL
operations over Syria much
Over
more
Syria.
efficient than they were prior to U.S. aircraft getting access
US
to that
aircraft.
base. We did
We
see after a lot of
after a lot
prompting on the part of the U.S. decisive action on the part of the Turkish government to take steps to clear ISIL from their border and more effectively secure their border with Syria. We've complimented them for taking that step, and they deserve it. They deserve it. Their forces have operated quite effectively on the ground to accomplish that mission, and we obviously were pleased to see them make that progress, not just because of the impact that has on our counter-ISIL campaign. It's also going to have a positive impact on the homeland security of our NATO allies.
Whipped cream. We love it.
We have seen ISIL occasionally carry out attacks on Turkish soil and more effectively shutting down the border or securing that border will make it more difficult for ISIL extremists to carry out those attacks that claim our Turkish allies. or the citizens of our Turkish
citizens.
ally as victims of those kinds of attacks.
Victims. So
what we intend to do is to keep an open line of dialogue with the Turkish government,
yeah,
with
what
our
we
NATO
intend
allies,
to do,
and
that
we
to
all
do.
benefit. All members of our counter-ISIL
No.
coalition benefit from ensuring that each
No.
operation that's undertaken under the umbrella of the counter-ISIL coalition
Counter-ISIL
is
coalition.
effectively coordinated and integrated into all their aspects of the campaign. If we do that, which we've been doing for years, it will only hasten the success.
Today's show is sponsored by Bios Triple Play
to
for
degrade
$69.99 for 2 years agreement. Taxes, equipment charges, RSN, FDB, and other fees apply. With Verizon Home Phone, you get unlimited nationwide calling. Many features including voicemail, call ready, call waiting. Ring, ring, ring. Don't answer the phone.
U.S. efforts to
Hurry, offer ends November 5th. With a 2-year price guarantee, exclusive online price stars, epics included for 12
the
months.
message that they should glean out of the list that you just provided of
Ring,
certain
ring,
effective
ring,
steps that
ring.
Turkey has taken,
Don't answer it's
including
me.
offering
Like,
an airbase that
ring, ring,
those priorities
ring.
partnership between the U.S.
Dante's
I
Inferno.
think, Justin, this is in some ways
In some ways,
the clearest example
clearest.
of the complicated nature
Verizon
of
support only Vons. They got it. Oh
this
no,
region.
we try to make this process
They're competing
easy on our
interests.
website. Send us a direct
The one
message
thing that
and we can
unifies
help with the
these
changes.
interests
KH,
is the need to destroy
we're
ISIL.
missing 2K. It
And
ain't missing 2
so
more.
our message to everybody who
2 more Ks and they got
shares
it.
that goal
Who was only Vons?
is that we should work together
Janine Parker from Kalamazoo,
and
Michigan.
take steps in pursuit
Thank you
of
for
that goal.
tweeting Verizon and the
Let's not take our eyes
NSA.
off that ultimate
That ultimate
accomplishment that will enhance everybody's security.
enhance everyone's security.
And at some point,
At
these
some
competing
point,
interests,
everybody
competing
is
claims, and
invited.
even differing opinions will
Different
have to be
opinions.
resolved. But we shouldn't allow
We shouldn't
some of those
allow
differences of opinion
Differences
to
of opinion
impede our collective
to
effort to
impede
degrade and ultimately destroy
our
ISIL. That's a goal we all share
affirmations
and a goal that we should all pursue
to
together.
ensure democracy.
James Clapper said Tuesday that
Give a right
trying to
foot shock
upgrade
affirmations
the
to
advanced takeover program was,
encourage
quote, probably
democracy.
a lost cause. Wondering if you
It's
guys
only
agree
to
with that
affirm
assessment.
democracy,
So taking that that's
to help
the
all.
assessment of our intelligence community, whether U.S. needs to prompt a change in its policy of seeking denuclearization.
Just
Everybody
my
is
understanding is that Director
invited.
Clapper was
Everybody
making
we
reference to the
promise.
fact that he did not anticipate that
He
the
swear.
strategy we have now
We have now.
would prompt the North
Would
Koreans to give up their nuclear program before the president leaves office.
Pink Shorts is
over
in
the
front of a
longer term,
live democracy republic.
We're going to continue to work with
They're
the
going to
rest of the
continue to be
international
both.
community to apply additional
Expose and
pressure
approve. Not
to
to.
the North Korean
Thank you for
regime
writing
to
Arrow,
get
the
them
new
to come
safety
into
video.
compliance
This
with
is Auditorium
a
Station.
range
Next
of
station.
international obligations,
Seneca
including
Nor, National
a
Video
variety of UN
Reservation.
security
Auditorium
conferences. And
Receive
that's the strategy that
iPhone.
we've pursued. And
Restitution of all state and federal
if the
funds is
next president
applicable to
chooses
voucher status of 18
to
U.S.
alter
Code
that policy, then
1385. What's in your
that'll be up to
wallet?
them. But we have had some success.
This is Pink Shorts,
in
Verbal Civil
mobilizing the
Contract
international
1622,
community, including
descriptive
some
use
countries
of land
with whom
zoning laws, production of electrical country, oh, high grade day, hip, tip,
don't
coil,
have the
top,
warmest
S,
of relations,
one,
including
activity media
Russians.
pads, class medulla, primary
to
record text, primary visual, auditory,
actually
audio,
work with
visual,
us
super campus,
on this
vertical,
goal.
bracket, English,
And,
Irish,
you
running
know,
further, the left, the
in
right
some ways it
hemisphere.
underscores
Also,
the
greatest agreements, substance
complicated
of
nature of our
evidence,
relationship with
welcome
Russia,
to the time. Will be
but it
for
also
Pink Shorts
underscores the
businesses.
significant threat that emanates from North Korea. And
That was
it's important
fast.
for the United
Tap
States to
into that
continue to play a leading role in
594-1443.
mobilizing the international community.
Hey, you got the bills
together.
at 1-800-922,
Finally,
U.S. Identity.
the Trump campaign aide
Two-party
said that,
consent laws required record Josh Earth, the
that they were
president,
engaging in multiple
the
efforts
press pool, or
designed
any
to
White House entity.
silence
Recording of
voters'
any
impression
confidential
to go
communication,
after,
including a private conversation.
to keep
This is a news
millennial women
program.
and African Americans and
For
other
all,
groups
without the consent of all
going
parties in the
polls.
conversation,
It's not
Penal Code
voter suppression, I
632.
think, in a historical
Run
way
corruption,
considered,
statutes of
but
limitations don't
obviously
apply,
the
and juice claims
strategy
can last for 2
described is
years.
to try and
Damages in some for certain for injury to loss of property, personal injury, death, alleged to have occurred by the reason of incident. Claim must be presented to the appropriate federal agency within 2 years after claim approved. Failure to complete, execute this form and supply the requested material within 2 years of the date of the claim accrued may render your claim invalid. A claim was deemed presented to when it's received by the appropriate agency, not when mailed.
Those candidates who are the most optimistic
duty of confidentially and
and
breach of his
enthusiastic
promise
about their
denied
campaigns
to recognize
typically look
to,
for
pre-
ways
blah, 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 to
to win
prevent a
people over
a
and bring them
critical
on board
non-compliance. You may find
and
us.
to engage them in the democratic process, the process of governing our country and determining
This is Pink
who
Shorts.
among our citizens should
The rest of our disclosures are available at
not just lead the United States of America,
docs.google.com.
but lead the free world. And that certainly is
And
the kind
that's
of
certainly
campaign that President Obama ran in
that President
2008.
Obama ran in
It's certainly the kind of
2008 to
campaign that he ran in
1995.
2012. And
I was
I
at the
think
Army.
you'd have to ask Secretary Clinton's
you have to ask
campaign, but
Secretary
I
Clinton.
think she would welcome
She would welcome
the embrace of a
the
similar
embrace of a civil
philosophy, trying to win
philosophy.
people over. And that certainly is the approach
And
that
that certainly is.
you've seen President Obama
You've seen
take
President
on
Obama
the campaign
take
trail in support of
campaign
Secretary
trail,
Clinton in terms of encouraging young
encouraging
people and African
our
Americans and
people,
Latinos, everybody,
everybody,
to pay attention to
to
the
pay
debate
attention
and
to false
participate
allegations.
in our democracy. Because the president's view is that the more people
The
participate,
more the people participate,
the stronger our democracy
the
is. Our
stronger our
country benefits
democracy
from
is.
everybody making a contribution.
Everybody
And that's why
is all
his campaign philosophy was to engage and
engaged
enlist and energize as many
Enlist and-
people as possible in
as
support
possible.
of his agenda. But I guess this is not
I
the
guess
only
it
way
is
in
not
which
the only way
the Republican nominee's approach is
Republican
different from President Obama's
President
approach,
Obama.
both to politics and
work the
government.
politics.
Okay, Mark.
Okay.
Josh, aside from rallies and fundraising,
Today's show is sponsored by MerriweatherA.Law.
campaign activities is the president
We offer law
engaging
firm and seller advances, December, step priority bonus December,
Well, I
tuition
think
bar
you
exam
do
review
know,
courses, reimbursement December, relocation and real estate
things that you do
benefits
know
December,
about, in
acquisition
addition
interest
to,
applied with Zeta
the kinds
qualifications
of public
December,
events that you just described.
revenue incentives or
president
donate to Title
Has
VA,
frequently been
VI,
participating
HSBC was that
in
December,
interviews on the
loan
radio
forgiveness December,
and
and join us directly
encouraging
from America's
listeners
South Law
to
School December.
be engaged in the
Pay grades at $200,000.
in our democratic process and to support Secretary Clinton.
Support.
The president has also
The president,
taped a number of
a number of
television and radio
television shows.
advertisements, not just for Secretary
Can we
Clinton,
sing off
but
the
also
top
for
today?
dozens of
Stewie
House and Senate candidates. We can get you a printed
Hansen,
list of
Stewie,
those. The president has
Siegel
also
Hansen.
engaged in online
Engaged
activities,
in online
signing
activities.
emails, and other things.
They have a
Encouraging
tweet from CNBC.
support for Secretary Clinton and Democratic candidates up and down the ballot.
Did you bring the beer?
Does that include state office holders?
All these government
governors?
firms.
It does. It
Yeah, the
includes
back
some,
shop.
some
Explaining
candidates for governor. It
Stewie,
includes
Siegel,
some candidates
Hansen.
for state legislature.
The missing triangle from
100 or
HSBC.
so who the president has indicated he publicly supports. There's one
presidents?
other tactic that is something that may
Something
not be
may
readily
not be
available to you for reporting,
available.
but the president
Today's
has
show is
also
sponsored by
taped a number
SteamPower.com.
of robocalls
Play with us
that
at
encourage people,
SteamPower.com.
remind people about election day, and encourage people to be supportive of a candidate that he's endorsed. And
It is a
if there hasn't been reporting
virtual
on that yet, I
strategy.
would anticipate that you'll see some reporting
It's
about
not
that
reality.
over the course of the next couple of weeks.
On another issue, is the
We
White
have
House aware
receipts
of
that prove
the
that we
GAO report yesterday on the cost
love,
of presidential travel?
we
It
love
focused on
video
a
strategy.
2013 trip, Chicago and
That's
Palm
right.
City, Florida, 4 days, and it came up with $3.6 million.
Victoria's
for
canceled.
the
Let's see what they're
costs,
talking about here.
mostly Air Force One,
Right.
Marine One, the Coast Guard, Secret Service, and the like.
Mhm.
Is there
Yeah,
any White House
ABC
reaction to
Records.
that report?
So
Were
sorry.
you given an opportunity to
ABC
comment on it?
Records.
I'm not aware of the
Hollywood
report. I
Records,
haven't seen
hello.
it, but we can certainly take a look and see if the
Hollywood
if
Records let it
GAO
go.
consulted with us in advance of issuing the report. And if
We're
we
so
have
sorry,
responsibility.
Hollywood Records.
Okay, Andrew.
Hollywood Records, ABC. We're so sorry.
Justin's
Very
question about
sorry for the show.
the PKK. The
Hollywood
Reagan administration
Records.
talked about denying the PKK a safe haven in northern Iraq. That sounds very much like the president agreed that the PKK need to get out of Syria. Is that big enough?
Hello, everybody.
I think the United States government has
The United States government
labeled
has
the
filmed
PKK
a man with a
terrorist
wig on
organization.
the street.
And we
Wilshire.
have repeatedly indicated
Hello,
our strong
Notorious.
support
The man on a
for
wig on the street.
Turkish efforts to
Wilshire.
defend themselves from PKK attacks. There are a number of terrorist attacks that have been carried out by the PKK or their sympathizers over the last several years that have claimed
There's cameras in the
innocent
jail.
Turkish
What kind of
citizens as,
baloney is this?
victims. And we also know that the
We also know that's illegal.
Iraqi government is
It's a
concerned
valid
about
question, Ms.
the
Gibbons.
presence of these extremists in their country as well. So I'm not aware that the
Ms.
president has made
Gibbons,
any
that's
sort of
a valid
declarations along
question.
the lines of what you asked
Boyfriends and
about. But
girlfriends.
our position
State
as
versus New
a
York.
government
State
of the
of New
United
York
States
versus Vernon
supporting our
Mayweather.
Turkish ally as
Valid
they
question.
face down a threat from
We can't make
this
that
terrorist
up.
organization is something that we've communicated on a
Only
number
from
of occasions. And our support for
validquestions.com.
the Turks as they counter the threat from PKK terrorists is unwavering.
On a different subject, Ted Cruz has become the latest Republican.
They filmed a TV show. Who films TV shows like that?
Senate wouldn't consider or shouldn't consider any Democratic
Only the state of New
nominees to
York
be Supreme
and
Court justice.
California
Does the White House agree with
and North
how you
Carolina.
read this, that would prompt a totally blown constitutional crisis?
Well, it certainly raises questions about the
What if that video needs a waiver?
credibility and integrity of Republicans who said that the next president should get to choose who will fill the vacancy on the Supreme Court.
Does the state of New York need a waiver for recording
Because
my
they're now
client
saying, at least a couple of them are saying, that
incarcerated?
if Secretary
Does the
Clinton
state of
wins the election, she
California,
won't get
state
to
of
choose
North
who serves on
Carolina
the Supreme Court.
need the same waiver?
So that's the first thing. The second thing is we hear
This is anonymous. It's not.
rhetoric from a lot of Republicans, not just
Makes all the judges
Senator
look
Cruz
funny,
and Senator
you know?
McCain and Senator Lee, all of them.
You
have
made a
some
TV show. Look
comments.
at him.
But all Republicans
But
who
all
have indicated
Republicans.
that they should be reelected so that they can
They
provide
made a
check
TV show. This is so ridiculous.
or counter
Counter
an incoming Clinton
and
administration.
incoming.
Voters who hearing and the president alluded to this on Monday. Voters who hear that message are basically hearing Republicans promise
We don't know.
more of the same
More
kind
of the same.
Republican congressional dysfunction
Dysfunction. Suggestion aborted. We
that's
don't know.
infected Washington for the last
That's
6 years.
infected Washington for the last 6 years.
And I think this is the clearest evidence of it.
This is the clearest
Vowing
evidence
to
oppose
any
80
Supreme Court nominee that's put forward just because that person is put
Just
forward by a
because.
Democratic president
Democratic president.
is not consistent with
It's not consistent.
the longstanding tradition
The
of
long-standing tradition.
the United States Senate.
The United States Senate.
In fact, it runs contrary to the
Contrary.
longstanding tradition of the United States Senate, which is to evaluate candidates
Candidate
based on the merits.
based on
And Republicans this year have deviated from that tradition by refusing to even consider Chief Judge Merrick Garland to fill the vacancy on the Supreme Court. Chief Judge Garland is somebody that Republicans have previously described as a consensus pick. Chief Judge Garland has more experience on the federal bench than any other Supreme Court nominee in history. Chief Judge Garland was rated by the nonpartisan American Bar Association as unanimously well qualified to fill the vacancy on the Supreme Court.
And Cousins.
And Republicans have indicated that they don't oppose him
and
because of any
bananacafana.com.
specific substantive concern with his candidacy, but because they oppose him because he was appointed by a
named it after
Democratic president.
ABC
And
spouses.
the point that the president has made is that this undermines confidence in our
What's
judicial system.
Wadsworth about?
It undermines confidence in our justice system. And the reason is simply that the basic principle of our justice system is that everybody is subject to the rule of law in the same way.
This week,
And
Mr. Press, only at
if we get down
Geico.
to a system
Tony Nicely.
where
And this week on ABC,
judges or justices are
meet
only
Wadsworth
considered
Wentworth.
based on the
Based
political
on
party of the president who
political
appointed
party.
them, raises questions about the impartiality of that
Raises
judge.
questions about a
And raises
Hasselbeck.
questions about whether people will be treated differently in the justice
What's in
system
your wallet?
based on their own partisan
Yeah, no
affiliation.
hassle card.
And that's that would do a lot of damage
Do a lot of damage.
to a well thought out, carefully considered architecture that was put in place by our founding
It was put in
fathers.
place by Steam.com.
So
SteamPower.com.
if
Featuring Tom Clancy's Splinter
Republicans
Cell
follow through on the
Blacklist.
strategy that
Available
Senator
for
Cruz, Senator Lee, and
$7.49.
Senator McCain are advocating.
Play with us at
So,
SteamPower.com.
just to be clear, you agree with Reed when he says we need to treat it like a constitutional crisis? It is.
Well, it certainly poses a significant threat
We have a
to a
lens.
long-standing tradition
Everyone zoom in.
in the United States, which is ensuring that federal
Only from
judges and potential
ErieCounty.com.
justices to the Supreme Court
Why are they making
considered on
TV
the merits
shows? Don't you need permission
their
to
record.
record people?
and their approach
Bro, that's
to jurisprudence, and not just on the
MerriweatherA.Law.
partisan affiliation of the president who appointed them. Okay, Jordan.
Jordan.
Thanks, Josh. The First Lady's going out on the trail today with Hillary Clinton. Wondering how
Captain
much more
Broken.
of the First Lady are we going to see in the final?
We're so sorry, ABC Records.
Making many more appearances, or is this
You canceled
gonna be
it.
for her?
Well, I don't have additional details about her schedule. I know that her intent today is to make a speech
I'm so sorry about
on
that.
stage with Secretary Clinton,
Hollywood Records.
and her intent is to deliver what she sees as a closing argument.
Disney.
She's had an
The
opportunity
people
to
with the
speak
big ears
several
are
times
so sorry.
over the
That's
course
the
of the
big
summer and
ears.
fall in
Mickey,
support
so
of
sorry.
Secretary Clinton's campaign. She spoke
I'm so
very
sorry.
powerfully at the Democratic
Powerfully.
Convention in Philadelphia in July. And over the course of the fall, she's had an opportunity to weigh in
They're in a deli.
on those aspects of the campaign that have
Mr. Gregory, what deli are you talking about?
prompted her to
We had food
take a bold
poisoning.
stand
Are you admitting
in
the
supporting
food
Secretary
poisoning?
Clinton.
With anthrax,
And today will be an opportunity for
food
her to
sedatives.
talk about those same values and those
Boy on the
priorities
train.
that animated her over the course of the campaign.
January 18th has been
And
proven
put them
as
in
of
the context of
yesterday.
a closing argument that she's looking
To
for.
thank everyone for participating.
Outside of specific scheduling updates, can you just give us a general sense of how much more she's
The
going to
state
be doing?
police have confirmed he
Well,
had food poisoning yesterday.
I think, first of all, I'd point out she's already done a lot.
The same department
and
who
there's
did a
not a
rape
lot of
kit.
mystery about where she stands in this race,
She stands in
or
this
how
race.
strongly she feels about
How strong
the
she feels.
outcome.
I'm an attorney of law,
and,
that's correct.
I think that she will. I feel confident
I'm
in saying
helping
that
you
she'll
put the
find
pieces together.
some additional ways between now and Election Day to reinforce those views with the American public.
Inconclusive results, we have nobody ate.
So we're still seeing a disclosure drop of.
We can only assume based on the conversation.
The stolen emails.
Slap, slap, slap.
Yes.
Oh, that's bad conversation.
A few
Bad,
weeks ago,
very
I asked
bad.
if there
We
were
can only
any,
assume
policy changes
anthrax.
within the
Not just know
administration,
that.
in terms of emails of employees that are here.
The lab.
certain high-level positions. You said sense.
That.
And would you say
We can only assume the worst.
John Podesta did not use common sense by clicking on this email that made him change his password and it's a phishing scam that
The rumors
happened
last
because of
October.
TC and
You got it.
as well.
Well,
We have
listen,
to put
I'm not
the
going
pieces
to be in a
together.
situation of blaming the victim here. He is a private citizen whose personal emails were
They're
stolen.
repeating themselves every
The
year.
tactics used to
Same.
disseminate that information are consistent with the tactics that we know
The tactics that we know.
the Russians have used to try to cast doubt
Cast
on
out.
the integrity and strength.
How many views
of
do we
our
have on the
system of
show?
democracy.
That's who's voting as well.
So, obviously, this is something that is
Obvious. The
a
amount of
source of
people
some
who view
concern,
the
not just within
show
the government, but I think
is
it's
the amount
a
of people who
concern
vote
that's held
this year
by
as well.
American citizens.
Zero.
and parties. But
How many views do
when
we
it comes to
have? I got
cybersecurity
one
in the United
viewer.
States, we're in
Is
uncharted
that the
territory,
president?
and it's
Is that-
important for
You got it.
everybody, including your
Everybody's
organizations,
welcome.
to be vigilant and be mindful of the need to
Mindful.
practice good habits when it comes to protecting yourself in cyberspace. You heard the
This is
president
an
make a
INS. We
reference
have
to
a
the
call
fact that
on
when he
hold. Would you like to answer that
email,
or not?
that he's
Ring,
doesn't include
ring.
anything in email that he wouldn't want to see in the newspaper.
Don't call.
Some of that's because he's subject to the Presidential
We're
Records
doing a
Act,
show
and
right
that
now.
There are some transparency requirements that are built in, but
Let's hello.
he's also mindful of the inherent risk
She's a telephone.
that exists in cyberspace. So
She's
he's
giving us
mindful of that in the same
something.
way that
What
we
is
all
she
should.
giving us?
Let's
give you a telephone call. Don't you get it?
Russia's trying to interfere
City
in
of
the US
Maine.
election.
GSM.
What's
Code
your
division
reaction
for
to that,
access.
since the intelligence community has said Russia was trying to
Well, again, it's not surprising to me that he's denying it.
We
but
always
it
wanted a
doesn't in any way undermine our
cheerleader.
confidence in the analysis that's been put forward by the intelligence
Putin, hang up
community
that
and the
call.
Department of Homeland Security.
And on the campaign, the
No,
president
call
has
wait.
repeatedly
We're doing a
stressed
show.
that Donald Trump will not be the next president.
Call
Closer
waiting
to election
available on
day, is the
Verizon home
president
phone
at all
service.
concerned that he may be wrong? Is that what we're saying?
Unlimited
Or on the
nationwide
campaign trail
calling
last-
with many
of
features
this final
including
stretch?
voicemail,
The president
caller
feels good
ID,
about the trajectory of
and
this
call
race.
waiting.
The president is just as determined to make sure that no one feels
For
complacent,
everybody,
and particularly
not
supporters of Secretary Clinton. So he's going to go out there and make
So he's
an
going to go out there,
important case
case,
that
and he's going to
the
make
only
his
way
own
that
meaning. That's what
Secretary
he
Clinton
said.
loses the race is
It's
if
plain English.
her supporters
ENGLISH.
and don't go to the
English,
polls and show up for her and be just as energized and active in support of her campaign as they were of President Obama's
Verizon
two
support.
presidential campaigns.
Only Shayla, it is. VCW is here to
um,
rescue. We want to
I guess the other
assist you
point that
with
I
your
will
bill
make is that
concerns. What's
the other
going
reason
on?
the president is
SH.
so deeply engaged and does have such an aggressive travel schedule for the
It is Friday,
12 days between now and
October
election day, is that
28th.
he's determined not just to build support and enthusiasm
Yay,
for
it's
Secretary Clinton,
Friday.
but also to use his standing to build support and enthusiasm for Democrats further down the ballot,
Think about
particularly
it.
congressional candidates, because he understands that if we're in a situation where
It is
Senator Cruz
Friday,
and his party
October
retains
28th,
the Republican majority,
2016.
they are promising to use that majority to perpetrate even more dysfunction on the American people from Congress. And that's a curious election strategy when you see just how fed up even Republicans are with the Republican leadership in
Today's show is
Congress.
sponsored by
But that's the strategy
Steam.com
that they're pursuing.
and the new
And
Call of Duty, Infinite Warfare, available
ignorance is no
November
longer an
4th.
excuse.
Pre-order now for
There's no longer any doubt
$59.99.
about the Republican vow
Only at
to use every
SteamPower.com.
tool at their
We're
disposal
video illusions, not
to throw
reality.
sand in the gears of the government. And they're not doing that because they think it's in the best interest of the
The
country.
best interest of the country.
They're doing that.
They're doing this because Stewie Siegel. We have a call waiting. Don't answer. Don't answer that call. I promise I won't. It's me and IMS. Don't answer it. Hit decline.
They
Decline.
think it advances their own personal
Their
political
own
interests.
personal? We won't answer those calls
That's not
waiting.
new for Senator Cruz.
Only on
He's somebody who shut
Verizon.
down the government over the objection of some people in his party just to try to raise his own profile and advance his
Own
own political
profile?
interest. And
Today's
it
show
did.
is sponsored by Stewie
He
Siegel
raised a lot of
Henson.
money and
Did you
spent a lot
bring
of
the beer?
time
The right
succeeding on the
contingency.
campaign trail. But
I'll
there's
be out in a
nobody
minute.
that I can think of who thinks that the interest
What
of
are
the
we watching
American
now?
people were advanced
You watching
by
Hollywood
Senator
Records?
Cruz shutting down the
Just got
government.
dropped.
It didn't help our economy. It didn't improve our fiscal outlook. It certainly
Lord.
didn't make the functioning of Congress more effective.
People
He
question
doesn't have
me every
anything to
day.
show for those kinds of tactics other than a selfish desire to make himself
The
look
train
better
wreck.
among his group of supporters.
Drop, drop, drop.
He's not the only Republican
He's
who's
not the only
promising to extend
Republican.
those tactics in the Congress.
In
and
Congress.
the country is not well served by
Country
it.
is not well served.
President Obama is hopeful
President
that the
Obama.
country will choose to elect Democrats who are
ABC
actually
Records,
interested
hello.
in trying to advance
Ben Sherwood, why?
the cause of
Would we do
democracy,
such a thing?
who are trying to build on the progress that we made over the last 8
Lord.
years, and are committed to trying to find common ground with President Clinton,
Notorious, yes. We see that.
if she's elected, to
It doesn't. We love it.
strengthen our economy, advance our interests around the world, fight climate
We
change,
love cool it.
and implement policies that ensure
love
that
it.
our country and our criminal justice system is more fair and
Quickly
more just to
change.
every American. Those are the kinds of values that President Obama's been fighting for the last 8 years. Those are the kinds of values that Secretary Clinton has built her campaign on. And those are the kinds of values that
Values.
the president is hopeful will be represented in the majorities in
It's
Congress
Ben Sherwood Records.
next year.
Last question.
Yep.
On a lighter note, did President Obama talk to Hillary Clinton?
The boy
on
knows
her
the future.
birthday yesterday, and is he sending a gift of any kind?
That
with
does it for our show.
First
Thank you,
Lady
ABC
today?
Records, very much. We saw this years ago.
I don't
We'll
know
talk
if
to you
they
guys in
spoke
the
yesterday,
reading.
but